Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Abdee from Rasyid, and me and my team today are going to present China mixed economy. And we will be understanding China's economy from the concept of mixed economy to the China's economic system throughout its history, and then we're going to be discussing the questions regarding to the topic of today's presentation.
At first, we need to talk about the concept of mixed economy. A mixed economy is an economic system that combines elements of both the free market and government control. In this model, both of the private sector and the state play an important role in the economy. Imagine that in a country with a mixed economy, the government controls the health system to guarantee universal access to its citizens, while the technology and manufacturing sectors are in private hands and operate according to the laws of the market. When we talk about mixed economy, China is such an interesting study case. This government controls key sectors such as energy, transportation, and banking, while allowing sectors such as technology and manufacturing to have a strong private presence. This has allowed China to accelerate its economic growth while maintaining the same state supervision over strategic areas. The main features of China mixed economy is that they are open to the private sector and foreign investment. Also, they have active iteration and flexible regulation per part of the government, and that result in a balance between state intervention and private activity.
Okay, so this is free market economies and how they stimulate greater economic growth compared to state-directed economies. So on one side, we have the incentives for productivity and efficiency, in which, as prices and production are directed by supply and demand, the market is more competitive and firms strive to reduce the costs and improve products to attract consumers, leading to higher rates of efficiency. Also, on the side of innovation and entrepreneurship, state-directed economies inhibit innovation due to bureaucratic constraints and lack of flexibility, also affected by the government monopolies and limited competition. So, the economic stability and crisis management on the other side, in free markets, there are periods of rapid growth followed by severe recessions, while in state-directed countries, like China, they provide more stability with its regulations. So, um, for example, in China's case, China's state-directed economy has succeeded in delivering high growth rates, largely due to market reforms and selective liberalization, rather than strict state control. So that will be for the first question. Okay, so this is free market economies and how they stimulate greater economic growth compared to state-directed economies. So on one side, we have the incentives for productivity and efficiency, in which, as prices and production are directed by supply and demand, the market is more competitive and firms strive to reduce the costs and improve products to attract consumers, leading to higher rates of efficiency. Also, on the side of innovation and entrepreneurship, state-directed economies inhibit innovation due to bureaucratic constraints and lack of flexibility, also affected by the government monopolies and limited competition. So, the economic stability and crisis management on the other side, in free markets, there are periods of rapid growth followed by severe recessions, while in state-directed countries, like China, they provide more stability with its regulations. So, for example, in China's case, China's state-directed economy has succeeded in delivering high growth rates, largely due to market reforms and selective liberalization, rather than strict state control. So that will be for the first question.
Around the world, countries have different political, economic, and legal systems which impact their economic growth and improvements. Today, let's improve how democratic political systems relate to economic growth and why this connection is important. Here are three measures of economic progress. The first is the GDP growth, and the second is employment level, and the last one is technological innovation ability. Okay, now there is theoretic basis of democracy promoting economic progress. First of all, the democratic system provides citizens with broad rights and freedom and protect property rights and economic autonomy. This stimulates individuals' enthusiasm and creativity and innovation. Second is democratic environments, citizens can freely express their opinion and demands. The media also plays a superficial role, enable information to be widely spread and exchanged. This allows the government to fully access various information when they do something to economic politics and avoid one-sidedness and blindness in decision making. In short, democracy has an important theoretic basis and positive roles in promoting economic progress. Here are two cases we can study. The first is United States. As we all know, long-term success in US due to tech innovation with public Apple. And the two is Europe. Many European countries such as UK, France, and Germany have a deep democratic tradition. Also, their social welfare system is also an important way to improve their democratic. There is challenging in democratic system. The first is the increasing population and interest growing European. And here are something we can do to promote our democratic. The first is strengthening citizen education system and reform and improvements. Okay, here are conclusions. The democratic political system is of great significance in promoting the continuous progress of economic, and it provides such as proof protect citizens' rights. However, the democratic system also faces many challenges in practice and needs to be continuously improved and refined.
Hello, my name is Sofia, and before talking about the affection of corruption into economical growth, I would like to give a bit of theoretical background to this topic. Corruption is the abuse of state power that is always made for personal gain. We all know a lot of examples of corruption, but the most popular are bribery, embezzlement, and fraud. Economic growth refers to an increase of the production of goods and services in a country over time, and it's generally measured as the rise in GDP. GDP means the gross domestic product. This is a total monetary of market value of all goods and services produced by the country within a specific time period. Now, I would like to talk about how corruption affects economic growth. And first, we're going to start with negative aspects. First of all, corruption can lead to inefficient allocation of resources. When government officials take bribes, they may prioritize projects that benefit them personally rather than those that serve the public interest. Then, high levels of corruption can make foreign investors hesitant to put their money into a country. When corruption is common, for sure, the investors are worried that they might face unfair competition. Or that their investments could be at risk due to dishonest practices. Third is that mostly we can say that corruption leads to increased costs for businesses due to the need to pay bribes or navigate bureaucratic hurdles. And these additional expenses can reduce profit margins and discourage entrepreneurship. And of course, corruption damages people's trust in government. When citizens believe their leaders are corrupt, they are losing interest in politics. Despite that there are a lot of negative implications, some people still believe that corruption is giving a short-term benefits in specific contexts. For example, facilitating transactions. Corruption can sometimes help to speed up processes in places with inefficient rules. Moreover, in some cases, corrupt practices can lead to redistribution of wealth from elites to lower income individuals. And additionally, in countries where official systems are weak or missing, corruption might provide a temporary boost to the economy by letting businesses operate more freely than they could do it under restrictions. But as we can see, all of these benefits are mostly short term. Answering the question whether corruption is always bad, I would like to say that while corruption is predominantly viewed as harmful to economic growth due to its negative effects, there are several scenarios where corruption may facilitate economic activity, but in the short term, especially in the environments with high bureaucracy and inefficiency. However, this doesn't translate to sustainable growth, as systematic reliance on corruption undermines the foundations of the good governments and the rule of law. Um, Overall impact of corruption on economic growth really depends on specific circumstances of the country. For example, the network, the governance quality, and etc.
Hello, my name is Moritz, and now we will talk about question 4. So, we are CEO of a company that has 100 million USD to invest in one market. We can choose either between Russia or Poland. Both countries obviously carry different types of risk, but also different intensity of risk. So now we will compare the two and then decide where should we invest. So let's jump right into it and talk about different types of risk we can consider. So first, political and geopolitical risk. Poland, on the one side, is pretty stable. It's a European Union and NATO member, which provides a lot of stability, but on the downside also a lot of dependency on European Union. Russia has big problems right now with the Russia-Ukraine war. Generally, also a high level of state involvement, and also in going with the war, there are a lot of sanctions right now from the European Union or other countries, which provide a big entry barrier for foreign investments, but also Russian business as well. Let's go to economic and currency risk. So Poland has a pretty stable economy with strong and stable growth. The zloty, the Polish currency, is pretty stable, but highly dependent on the euro as well. And for example, European economies like German economy. Russia, on the other side, is an emerging market, but is heavily dependent on oil and gas exports. So that also means it's pretty vulnerable to fluctuation on exports and political conditions, as you can see right now. And therefore, the ruble, the Russian currency, is also really volatile because of sanctions and those oil prices. Let's go to legal and regulatory risk. So Poland, again, is pretty transparent, stable, and predictable due to the European Union influence, and it's also therefore offers a higher level of protection to foreign investors. Russia, on the other side, is less transparent, with more frequent changes, and also high level of corruption and high political influence in everything, especially the economy. In the class we learned about cronyism, and it's a perfect description of it. There's also risk because of international law, because especially with corruption and you're doing business in Russia, it's kind of difficult, and you may risk to get affected by international law there. Let's talk about market access and operational risk. So Poland has a modern infrastructure and access to the EU market, which is obviously a big advantage, as a generally growing middle class and a really diversified economy. So they're strong in manufacturing, they're strong in IT, but they're also strong in the service industry. Russia, on the other side, has a large population and lots of resources, but as I said, it's really dependent on those resources. Also, the Russian government promotes self-sufficiency, so restrictions can happen, and it's maybe a little bit hard to enter this market. So to conclude this, let's quickly look at the pros and cons for Russia and Poland. So Poland, as I said before, has high stability because of the European Union and NATO, but also, on the other side, high dependency and rising cost. Russia, on the other side, is rich in resources, has a lot of cheap labor, and good connections to emerging markets like China and the Middle East, but a really high political risk, high corruption, high cronyism, and high entry barriers. And also, right now, because of the sanctions, there's limited access to Western services. So my conclusion is that probably the more safer option for this investment is Poland, but there might be some cases where Russia is also a good option. For example, if your reputation is not dependent on the place you produce, for example, then Russia is a good option because a lot of Western companies put all the business out of Russia because of the reputation, because of the war. But if you totally not care about it, then Russia is still a good option maybe, because you have those resources, especially if it's in the energy sector, for example, or manufacturing. It's a lot cheaper to do it in Russia than in Poland. But if it's, for example, an IT company, then Poland is 100% the better choice because you have more skilled workforce. You have all the European Union laws and connections to the Eurozone, which can be really helpful, as well as all the other Western services you can access. Thank you.
Now let's move on to the Walmart library issue and its consequence. The first reason, library awareness. In the earlier 2000s, Walmart was informed by local libraries in Mexico that they bring officials called help or beaten constructions to make for a store there. And the second reason, high cost. The company has spent $24 million on lobbying and investigations related to since library allegations. And the third reason, international knowledge. Walmart's executives were aware of the potential libraries that might have been taking place. So the subsequent influence is A. Financial impact. Fines. Under the FCPA, Walmart could be subject to significant fines. 2. Legal costs. The company will continue to bear the expense of legal battles associated with this issue. B. Reputational damage. 1. Customers. There is a risk of losing customers' trust, which might lead to a decrease in sales. 2. Investors. Their confidence in Walmart may be reduced, potentially resulting in a decline in the store price. 3. Business partners. Partners may be reluctant to work with Walmart in the future. C. Operational disruptions. First, regulatory scrutiny. The company will face closer to monitoring, which may cause delays in its expansion plans. 2. NLP moral. The Nagnifico publicity could have an impact on NLP model, potentially leading to lower trajectory.
So let's come to the conclusion of China's mixed economy. Since the founding of the People's Republic of China, China has begun to vigorously develop its economy. Although it is not smooth sailing, China has been exploring, improving, reflecting, optimizing. Finally, it has found an economic suitable model for China, that is, the mixed economy. This decision has helped China quickly improve its economic strength and lead to the world's second largest economy. The living standards of Chinese people have changed dramatically, and China is still moving forward. Hello, everyone. I'm Zhanhao from China. So today I'm going to answer a question, which is, how would you describe China's economy prior to the market-based reforms of the 1980s and the 1990s? This system failed to deliver living standards to the bulk of China's population. Why? So to answer this question, let's first talk about China's economy prior. Before the market reform in the 1980s and the 1990s, China's economic system was called planned economy or instructive economy. This system emphasized the centralized management and planning of economic activities by the government, and the state occupies a dominant position in production, distribution, and resource allocation. National ownership and collective ownership account for more than 90% of the economic center. At that time, it was only one-sidedly pursued the growth of rate of total output value and ignored the pursuit of economic efficiency and economic benefits. Why the system failed to deliver people's living standards? Yeah, I think there are five reasons for this problem. The first one is lack of market mechanism. The government controls the price, demand, supply of products. That means the government has the biggest power in the market, which I don't think that is very good. The second one is insufficient accumulation of technology and capital. That means the supply of the goods in the market cannot meet the needs of people's daily life. That is very dangerous. The third one is lack of incentive mechanism. With lower productivity, workers will not work hard, but only finish their daily work. Then they will go home, sleep, or do something else. The first one is inefficient resource allocation. The distribution of resource is unbalanced. Some people don't have enough to eat, don't have house to live, while some people living a rich life. This resulting in shortage of materials and waste. And the last one is excessive collectivization of agriculture. In China, farmers lack enthusiasm for production, and most of Chinese people is in rural areas, which limits the improvement of people overall quality of life. So that is also very important. So generally speaking, this system cannot meet the needs of society for the quality of life. So people's living standards cannot be improved.
Hello everyone, my name is Citra Nanda and I will answer the question number 2 of the case discussion questions.
So firstly, about the China's current economy. So China's current economic system is a mixed economy, which is a combination between the market economy and the command economy. The market economy is where the production of the goods and services are based on the supply and demand on the market, along with the price system. Besides, the command economy is where the production of the goods and services are planned by the government, including the quantity and the price of it. This system is also known as a socialist market economy. In the case of China, state-owned enterprises is controlled by the state in order to further its industrial policy, promoting the development of its public and private sectors. It means that the state-owned enterprises are supporting the economic development of the nation. Next is about the benefit of China's economic system. So China's economic system has created a rapid economic growth, this making China one of the fastest growing economies in the world. Right now, China ranks as the world's second largest economy. The second is state-led development. The active support and guidance from the state in the development of private enterprises helps drive economic growth. For example, is the Huawei case, where the state already gave the Huawei companies support in the form of grants, cheap lands credit facilities, low interest rate loans, and also the tax breaks. This making Huawei become the top ranked telecommunication companies in the world. The third is about the social stability. It is created as China prioritizes social well-being by ensuring basic needs for its citizens. Lastly is about the potential drawbacks of China's economic system. So the first is decline of the state-owned enterprises. The state directly mixed private state-owned economic model has created an inefficiencies for state-owned enterprises which lower its productivity and also can slow the innovations. Second is corruption. This economic system has strong interventions of the state in the economy, so it can create opportunities for corruptions. The third is geopolitical tensions. China's economic policy about subsidization is quite aggressive, and it has created tensions with other countries, including the United States, one of the China's major trading partner. And lastly is about environmental degradations. Rapid industrial growth has led to environmental problems, such as air and water pollutions.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Abdee from Rasyid, and I will be presenting the case discussion question number 3. Would China economically do better or worse if it privatized more of its state-owned businesses? Okay, so let's begin by exploring the potential benefits if China increased the privatization of its state-owned enterprises or SOEs. Okay, firstly, privatization can boost efficiency. Okay, unlike its state-owned companies, which may face bureaucratic delays, privatized firms operate with a focus on profitability and streamlining operations. This allows them to respond more swiftly to market demands and innovate processes to reduce cost. Another significant advantage is enhanced innovation uh, in a privatized environment. Companies often invest heavily in research and development to stay competitive. Right? This drive for innovation not only benefits for the companies, but also can spill over into the wider economy, spurring technological advancements and new product development. And thirdly, it also increased market competition from more private firms, so it could reduce SOE dominance. This competition tends to drive down prices and encourage better services and quality as companies strive to attract consumers. Additionally, attracting foreign direct investment would become easier as investors are often drawn to sectors with less government involvement, seeing them as more stable and predictable for long-term returns. Lastly, on a fiscal level, privatization could provide substantial revenue for the government by selling off assets. This income could then be directed toward public investment, infrastructure, or debt reduction. Now let's look at the possible drawbacks of privatizing China's SOEs. The first one is loss of control over essential industries, and it is one of the biggest concerns. Some industries such as energy, telecommunications, and transportation are critical to national security and stability. If these are dominated by private interest, the government may lose leverage in ensuring these sectors prioritize public welfare over profit. Then there's economic dislocation, which refers to the social consequences of rapid restructuring. Privatization often leads to layoffs as private firms seek to cut costs.
This could heighten unemployment, widen social inequalities, and even lead to unrest, particularly if employees feel they're being left behind. A third risk is that private monopolies might replace SOE dominance. In certain sectors, competition may not develop enough to keep prices low, and consumers could end up paying for more essential services if monopolies take root. Privatization, and also this also causes problems that could lead to a short-term focus on profits, which means companies might cut corners or reduce investment that would ensure long-term economic stability. And finally, as privatization accelerates, the government may struggle to enforce regulations effectively, leading to challenges in protecting consumer rights and maintaining fair practices. To conclude whether China would benefit or suffer from privatizing its SOEs largely depends on how the process is managed. A gradual, regulated approach could maximize benefits and mitigate risks. For example, China could selectively privatize certain industries while retaining state control over strategic sectors critical for national security. Additionally, implementing regulatory frameworks to oversee private monopolies could prevent price gouging and protect consumers. If well executed, privatization could indeed bring efficiency, innovation, and foreign investment, which lead to bolstering economic growth. However, a nasty transition could lead to economic disruptions, social inequalities, and regulatory gaps that could offset these benefits. Therefore, a carefully balanced approach where the government gradually opens certain industries while maintaining oversight is likely the best way forward to ensure stability and sustain economic development. My name is Abdee from Rasyid, and thank you for your kind attention.
To finish with the case discussion questions, the first part of the question is, do you think that Chinese enterprises that receive substantial funds at below market interest rates from state-owned banks such as Huawei should be allowed to compete in international markets against private companies that receive no such assistance? The first thing we have to know to answer this question is to understand the situation that is being raised. Basically, it is a practice called a state subsidy that involves using government resources to strengthen national companies to help them to compete in the market. This type of support can give companies a cost and expansion advantage that their international competitors without subsidies do not have, which in some cases is considered a form of unfair competition or market distortion in global markets. Understood that part, if state aid allows Huawei to offer high quality products at lower prices, consumers can benefit from reduced prices. But from a fair competition perspective, companies operating in the same market should have access to similar financing conditions. By receiving funds from state banks at reduced rates, companies like Huawei gain an unfair advantage over private competitors that must finance themselves at market rates. At the end, our answer to the first part of the question is, although state support for companies like Huawei raises fair competition challenges, this practice is not unique to China, since it is a practice that companies from all over the world do. Ideally, they should be able to participate in international markets, but under conditions of transparency and regulations that limit the impact of subsidies on competition. This involves drafting international agreements that limit these subsidies in specific global markets, thus promoting fairer competition while maintaining benefits for consumers. For the second part of the question that it says, what policy remedies, if any, would you suggest here? We will suggest that the following policies may be considered based on the course book, International Business. Countervailing tariffs, imposing tariffs on products from subsidized company to offset their cost advantage and balance competition. Also, international agreements on subsidies. Work with the WTO to limit government subsidies to companies participating in global markets, thus promoting fair conditions. Also, mandatory financial transparency. This is required subsidized company to disclose their financing sources and conditions, allowing regulators to identify unfair advantages. And at the end, promoting of national R&D, support national companies in research and development to improve their competitiveness in strategic sectors without depending on direct subsidies. These policies combine immediate measures such as tariffs and agreements with long-term strategies that strengthen innovation and self-sufficiency, promoting balanced international trade as the book suggests.
And that's it for today's presentation. We'd like to say thank you for your kind attention, and we'll see you in the next one.